2025 was an amazing year for gaming. A year full of titles that transcended the industry itself. From a plethora of great sequels to resurrections of iconic franchises taking on bold new approaches, debut indie titles wowing gamers with some of the greatest games in their genres and of all time. Indie games just bringing the thunder. A year where the concept AA and AAA, developer and battery, can directly translate to one another. This year, AA had the length, they had the girth, and they have the energy built to last for years to come. And if that weak joke is any indication, I am not charged up at all about it. It's that time of year again, folks, and I have never been so over it. Never been so over gaming, and at the same time over the moon about all the fabulous titles I played this year. What a year. A year full of first-time experiences for me, where I definitely added a few notches in my gamer belt. First time with some Metroidvania and Hollow Knight and Silksong. First top-down style roguelike with Hades and Hades 2. First puzzle roguelike in Blueprints. First turn-based game with Expedition 33. But above all, which game stands firmly tall amongst the rest? And is it as obvious as everyone wants to make it out to be? What is the true Game of the Year? I understand I am extremely late to the party. Quite frankly, it's because I didn't even want to show up. The Game Awards has always been a joke. Year after year, I watch them make a mockery of the gaming industry, refusing to capitalize on the one thing that would garner them the attention and respect that the gaming world so rightfully deserves. And that's not rewarding and showcasing the games that I want to see and played myself. So in line with that, I'm flipping the script. We have 6 nominees here, and if you've seen the thumbnail, 3 have already been effectively disqualified. Death Stranding 2 is here because Jeff Keighley and Kojima are looking to take the next step in their relationship, and you don't win rep points by not acknowledging your partner's line of work and passion, so it's completely understandable. Donkey Kong Bonanza has me fittingly scratching my head as to why the hell is this monkey here when it shares a year with titles like Blueprint, Split Fiction, and Ghost of Yotei. But I did hear that this is the installment where Donkey Kong and Mario finally kiss, so I can forgive its inclusion here. And I want to extend the most heartfelt congratulations to the Nintendo Stand community for this monumental event. I never was a Nintendo guy. My parents never bought me a Nintendo console growing up because, well, they're good parents. And considering I was born within 24 hours of the release of the PlayStation 1, you gotta know where my bread is buttered here. Kong, go slip on a banana peel, you're out. And as far as Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance, I'm sure if I played it, I'd come too. The realization that it's a fantastic game and worthy of its position here. But nevertheless, I will be replacing these 3 games with Silent Hill F, Ghost of Yotei, and Blueprints. I can't include Split Fiction because I never played it, but I do find it wild that it's not here. I'm still going to pick a winner based on the actual nominees present, but I just want to take this time to highlight some of the amazing games I played this year. And also say Sword of the Sea not being nominated for Best Art Direction? What the f***? That is a complete joke. Alright, let's do this. Although a Silent Hill stand could easily write F off as a mockery of the series, I would respond with F off, you're talking out your A. This is definitely a sleeper hit this year, even with me, as there is just so much quality surrounding it that it's easy to dismiss. The game does take a questionable approach to the combat, at least in terms of the series as a whole, adapting to the growing demand for every game to include some level of Souls-like elements. There's still great boss fights, weapon durability and tight parrying windows can keep fear and tension high, your hits still feel impactful, but it's nothing to write home about. To add on to that, while puzzle solving could be good, it doesn't compare to the level of quality in something like Silent Hill 2 Remake. But the Silent Hill atmosphere is still there, the music is still there, the type of storytelling is still there, and it's great. Once again, I want to preface this by saying none of my complaints are deal breakers for me to deem this game as mediocre on the gameplay side. If it was that bad, I couldn't even include F in the discussion here. But the real show stealers here are the acting performances, pivotal moments, and character introspection. The story does get increasingly more ridiculous with each subsequent playthrough, but it's still a fantastic story, and a clear frontrunner for Best Narrative. It is my best narrative of the year, just solely because I love character studies over wide-scale, epic, lore-filled adventures like Expedition 33. And there are aspects of this game before it goes absolutely bonkers with your second and third playthroughs that I heavily relate to. If you like diving deep into characters that are flawed or have been wronged, this is the game for you. If you think you're a weird loser, if you think you're a hipster, if you've been bullied or you like to pretend the world is against you, if you like to overthink and be an indecisive crybaby B, if you've seen or been through some S, if you think everyone is an A, but also you love everyone and you're a complete mess of a person, then this is the effing game for you. It's also got some of the most engrossing, well-written journal entries I've come across. Oftentimes in horror mystery type games like this, you'll be riddled with lore bits and out-of-order dialogue, where you have to sit there and piece the story together yourself and it doesn't make sense or become enjoyable until you grasp what's going on. But this game is great in that I don't feel punished for my lack of understanding. It was always interesting. It was always doing at least one thing to keep me engaged or curious as to what's real and what's not in multiple aspects. It has one of the most intense and memorable ending sequences of any game I've ever played, talking specifically about the first ending. This may seem like a stretch for some, as I'm sure some people hated the first ending, but I don't care, it's where the game peaked for me, and the entire narrative up till that point became much more interesting as a result. But yeah, if you like mind Fs, that's mind f***s, and games that oddly feel Souls-ish, then pick it up. The level of quality in certain areas might surprise you. Moving on to Ghost of Yotei. Better than Tsushima in every way except the story. If you wanted a short summary about what my hour-long Versus video is about, there you go, I just completely killed its relevance. Nah, but it's still a really good watch, I implore you to give it a go, it's some of my best work. Ghost of Yotei, among the many other examples this year, is a sequel done to basically perfection. I'm not one for needing to break the mold of the original to be a good game. The whole reason I'm showing up is for more, so give me more and make everything that was good better. Simple as that. The fast travel and puzzle-based map system is among the most comprehensive and satisfying I've ever experienced, and is a big reason why side content is so addicting. I never felt like I needed to mindlessly ride my horse all over a blank canvas in the hopes I'll find what I'm looking for. No, I just put the square block in the square hole on the map and it gives me my answer. All the different weapons to play around with are so much fun. I don't care if it makes no sense that Atsu can carry 500 pounds worth of weaponry on her back. This is a game, folks. Screw immersion. No one was complaining back in the 2000s where we were all looking up the cheat code to pull a frickin' minigun out of our stomachs and slaughter a city of people. Get real. Sword duels, gambling minigames, an epic old western-like score, great weapons, throwing dropped weapons, disarming, enemy variety, great skill tree structure, a female instead of a male butt in that hot spring, and you got yourself a worthwhile sequel. I could go on for 50 minutes about all the changes I love in Yotei and my thoughts on the series in general, and what do you know? I have a 50-minute Versus video doing just that you should totally check out. Seriously, I love Yotei and its quality speaks for itself. This is one of the many instances this year where I question, why aren't we breaking the 6 nominees only rule? Hello? When frickin' Ghost of Tsushima was a frontrunner for Game of the Year in 2020, and Yotei's reward for being better in every way minus the story is a snub? Frickin' Donkey Kong Bonanza? Donkey Kong Bonanza? This is why Ghost of Yotei isn't here? This? Well, in that case, I hope it sweeps the whole show. Best Narrative, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best Debut Indie, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best Games for Impact, it's gotta be Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best Sports/Racing, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Best RPG, Donkey Kong. Best Esports Game, Bonanza Donkey. Best Esports Team, Kong Banan. Best... Did someone say, best? I had a dream, and it has been crushed. In a perfect world, Blueprints would at least be the Dark Horse nominee in the Game of the Year category, riding majestically through the shadows, stoic and proud. But no, we live in a world of politics and asses that demand to be kissed. Forget integrity. Forget honoring a game that is literally a generational title on the grandest stage. An absolute masterclass in every genre you could classify it as. Roguelike, puzzle, mystery, strategy. A game so perfect, the only flaw is in you if you don't get it and don't plan on ever playing it. Pardon my French, but we shouldn't be omitting a Game of the Year contender just because the greater world population is too stupid or impatient. If I said the systems in play in Expedition 33 to ensure you do well in combat is too much to juggle, or Silksong is too hard with the platforming and its punishing currency and map system, or Hades 2 has too many resources to manage and too many things to learn to create worthwhile builds, and I just don't have the time or patience to deal with everything, so the games just aren't that good. If you were to say, well, that's a load of bullshit, they're fantastic games, and you're the problem, then why is it okay to do the same thing with Blueprints and consider it a non-factor in this discussion? A game should not be measured on how accessible or popular it is. It should be measured on its quality alone. And Blueprints is quality. Now, I'm no whiz kid here. I don't sit down to take a dump and get through 10 rounds of Sudoku. I'm an idiot. This is the first time I have ever given a game like this much attention. It's one of the deepest games I have ever played, where every time you think you've hit a ceiling, a new door opens, and the scale of the game increases. To sell anyone who might pick it up, although I know the turnover rate will for the most part be 0.0%, you'll be drafting rooms in a 45-room max-capacity mansion that refreshes back to nothing at the start of each run, with your initial goal being to reach the secret room 46 before the run ends. The way the run ends is if you run out of keys to unlock doors, gems to draft specific rooms, or steps, which drop by 1 every time you enter or exit a room. Every room in the mansion can be part of a puzzle or have puzzles in them. They'll be sprinkled with clues to solve puzzles in other rooms and also clues regarding the inhabitants of the mansion and its history. And it is crucial that you journal all your stuff down because literally everything in this game can be a clue. And that's what makes it so exciting. Even when you accomplish your main goal, you've likely already encountered dozens of side goals, but they don't feel inherently side goal-ish. Everything is part of the bigger picture, and it's clear as day that diving into this game's deepest mysteries is exactly how the game was meant to be played. Otherwise, in my opinion, you haven't really played it. It also helps to play this with a partner like I did. If you're looking for a game to bond with your significant other and you're both willing to endure the brain pain, this is an absolute must-play. It's got a great score, it's relaxing yet incredibly challenging, and its scale is much larger than it appears on the surface. The reason this game is probably not on your radar is just because most people prefer the loud and flamboyant as opposed to the quiet and stoic when it comes to games. It's like comparing moviegoers to book readers. I've played dozens of great action games, epic adventures with great loss and great triumph, epic combat and music, great acting, great stories. I have never played a roguelike puzzle mystery that took over my entire life for 2 months, where all I thought about was Blueprints, and that's an experience for me that can't be topped. It's a game that demands your full attention, but once you give it that, in my opinion, it is the game of the year. I don't care if you want to give me 33 reasons as to why I'm wrong. I will tell you that you are wrong until I'm blue in the face. Prince. But according to the Game Awards, the end-all be-all judge of quality, it's not even close. Donkey Kong Bonanza, man. So without further ado, let's discuss the real 3 frontrunners for the Game of the Year. Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, and Expedition 33. Oh, how tempted I am to make the mistake of just picking this game because it's my best received Versus video. That's obviously not the only thing going for it. Silksong is an amazing game. Once again, following the trend of does everything it did in the first game, but better. I do prefer the characters and soundtrack of the original more so than Silksong though. So much so that if you were to combine my favorite elements of both, it would be my game of the year, no question. Oh boy, I think I just gave myself up. Or did I? Maybe I'll go back on my word. Silksong touches base with some of my favorite aspects in gaming. I love challenging platforming, and even more so when it's as fluid and fun to execute as it is here. I love simplified, fast-paced combat, and it's made even more enjoyable with every aspect of traversal bleeding into how you approach it. This is one of the rare cases in gaming where a boss I'm struggling with only gets better with each repeated attempt. I remember being stuck on Second Lace for a short while, and never found myself ready to hurl the controller at the wall because dodging her attacks and dealing damage was just so fun. The one area I did feel like throwing a controller over was the currency system, and stumbling upon a bench only to have it stripped away from me or kill me. It was funny the first time you did it, now stop. And of course, getting lost and being mapless in either Hollow Knight game is just annoying as hell. And also playing it at launch and having every environmental obstacle doing 2 masks of damage was ridiculous. Specifically with that and the fake bench and currency side of things, it just felt like I was being bullied. I am all for challenging combat or traversal that has me questioning, why am I wasting precious hours of my life trying this over and over again? But I don't like to feel like the game is screwing with me. Paying precious currency just to enter a shop every time is ridiculous. Benches in some of the hardest areas in the game turning out to be fake is just spitting in my face. But otherwise, art-wise, it's gorgeous. Soundtrack's still phenomenal despite my preference. Biowater and Choral Chambers will never leave my music library. Bosses are better than the original because the combat is better, yada yada. Although, out of the 3 games here, I haven't 100%ed any of them, and Silksong just might be the least likely for me to pick up again, because now I'm on Act 3 and I have no idea where to go from here. I haven't touched the game in 2 months, so it's going to take a bunch of online guiding to get me back into it. But if I got back into it, maybe my opinion would change. For now, it's biting the dust. With Silksong out of the way, it's the matchup the entire world has been waiting for. Feet versus feet. In line with me saying Silksong might be the least likely to pick up and play, Hades 2 is obviously the most likely because there is no real ceiling. It's just the type of game it is. It's pick up and play, get a run in, get the runs, and go take a dump. Hades 2 mirrors Yotei in being better in every aspect except the story. Omega attacks are a godsend, every weapon to play with is fun. The introduction of elemental infusions gives you more ways to structure builds, 2 different types of runs to choose from, both with fantastic boss fights, even more colorful characters and better buffs from the ones who give gifts, moon abilities, the list goes on, yada yada. And I don't care if everyone and their mother hails Expedition 33 as one of the best soundtracks to ever grace Game God's digital earth. Skella and the Sirens have my heart forever. The singles alone in Hades 2 trump the overall soundtrack of Expedition 33 for me, because I love them, and it's my preference, and get over it. Having said that though, the final 30 minutes of Hades 2 was literally putting me to sleep in my chair, because it was primarily just okay. And I felt like it was trying to do way too much in one condensed situation. I also was just a little burnt out, kinda like I am right now, from playing the living crap out of it, outright skipping character dialogue except the important ones towards the tail end of the game. But is the ending a big enough flaw to keep it from dethroning the game that changed people's lives? Let's find out. Expedition 33. Oh boy, am I tired of hearing those damn words. But I will say it's time for me to eat my words. Expedition 33, 100%, deserves all the glaze it's been getting. But maybe one could say it gets a little bit too much to the point that there's more glaze than actual donut. However, there is a silver lining to it all, because if people weren't buzzing, I wouldn't feel like 33 bees were surrounding me, stinging me until I just up and played it. Now, this was my first time playing a turn-based game, so I don't know if it's customary to be epic as all hell. A lot of people say the best aspect of the game is the story. For me, it's the gameplay. Between the flashy magic attacks and sound design, to the free aim shots and parrying so I could just pretend I'm not playing a turn-based game, I had a blast. I really love the Pictos and Luminous system, where you can still keep abilities you like without having to actually equip them in one of your 3 slots. Now, I played most of this game on story difficulty because there was no way I'd be able to beat this game in a week before the Game Awards and get this video out without hating it, had I not made it a little bit more seamless for me. I chose to forego the idea in my brain that the higher the difficulty, the bigger my joystick. But once I had a firm grasp, not on my joystick, on the combat and skill system, I upped it back to normal, and even beat the pre-final boss on my first try, because I'm a total Chad and my joystick is still intact. The good thing about story difficulty though is 1, it doesn't inherently make the game a cakewalk where you can just play with reckless abandon, and 2, it also makes it easier to highlight one of the best aspects of the combat, the parrying system. It is extremely satisfying to parry a long combo and finally get that counterattack in, especially when you get a triple counterattack and the entire team just jumps into the air and explodes. My advice is if you want the parrying to be less tight but don't want to feel like a brick wall in terms of taking damage, put no points into defense and vitality, and also throw on any Pictos that make you take more damage in exchange for being stronger, things like Glass Cannon and Perilous Parry. One thing I see being overlooked in this game is the exploration. While level structure is inherently simplistic, I found myself unable to hold myself back from looking through every nook and cranny. Not just because the game is gorgeous, and pretty much every environment has something cool to look at, but because there are game-changing abilities to be found in the most unsuspecting of places. The game urges you to make that decision. You follow that compass south, east, and west, forget north. This is something I greatly appreciate. Now, in terms of characters, I'm gonna be in the extreme minority here and say I don't think this is the greatest cast ever assembled. If I had to pick a favorite, I guess it would be Gustav, but I can't say that any of the characters or character development wowed me in the way people made me expect. I do think I can say I was wowed by the story conceptually. There are twists and turns I didn't see coming, and ones I did, but the originality of it all speaks volumes. It's a fun and enveloping narrative. The final hours are insane, both visually and narratively. This is definitely a game where if the story is losing you along the journey, the ending will bring you back tenfold. Obviously, among the three frontrunners here, it's the best story. The ending of Hades 2 is so-so, and with Silksong, I never paid attention to a damn thing because I'm too busy playing the great game. I don't have time to give a shit. As far as music, yes, okay, it's fantastic. During my playthrough, I kept waiting for the game to wow me and take me to that 10 out of 10 status that everybody keeps telling me this game is. And I was iffy on calling it that. But it wasn't until that synth kicked in the Goblu boss fight that I was like, okay, now it's time to frickin' party, dude. Game Awards with the 33 nominations, I see you. Mega fans sounding off on how amazing this game is like they have a fire hose of glaze juice, I can see you now. Now I can appreciate this game for the flawless masterpiece it is. Epic combat, epic boss fights, an unforgettable ending. Great score, gorgeous visuals, AAA quality gaming from a AA developer. Now the battery in me is fully charged. Now I am excited. Now I am pumped. Now I can remove all doubt, despite the astonishing lineup of games we got this year, that there is indeed one game atop them all. My game of the year for 2025 is Hollow Knight Silksong. You can kiss my ass! My first big, well-received video, you really think that doesn't hold a special place in my heart. It's Silksong all the way, boy! In all seriousness, the quality of games we received this year is so stacked that I can't come to a definitive conclusion. This is like comparing apples to oranges. Forget that. It's like comparing apples to refrigerators, refrigerators to sidewalks. While Expedition 33 is amazing, I can't lie and say it gripped me the way it has with everyone else. It would be me essentially rewarding a game for doing basically everything right and being consistently fun with no real drawbacks, but it was doing so without fully engrossing me in the story, characters, world, and music. It just wasn't my cup of tea in that respect. A game can be relatively flawless in its design, but it doesn't mean that design is always going to appeal to you. It just becomes a game of me trying to appease the overall consensus on it, despite my preference, and act like the characters weren't just okay to me, or like I want a French opera singer screaming in my ear for hours on end. Not exactly my, cup of tea. But the music is still great though. The reality is that Expedition 33 is just that. It's an expedition. It's an epic adventure, so no everyday gaming consumer is gonna write it off compared to these other games, and that's totally fine. I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It truly is one of the best games I've ever played, and it can have its flowers. It 100% deserves it. But once it gets those flowers, I'd like it to promptly get a gamage going and vanish into them. The conversation for Game of the Year doesn't end here, because it can never start. It's just a load of crap. Just stop, gamers. Stop using games to make meaningless arguments and comparisons that do nothing but put a wall of divisiveness between us. Stop adding bricks to that wall. Let's just enjoy all games together. If you like this video, be sure to check out my Versus videos where I compare games against each other and add bricks to the wall that does nothing but divide us and pick winners. And as always, leave a like, comment, and perhaps subscribe, and I just might make some more. I'll see you next year.